You're gonna have a baby in the midst of all this chaos. I lost it when a baby got introduced into the series. Like, and with the introduction of the VIPs, that was one of the things I found interesting and I really appreciated in this season. It reminds you that greed has nothing to do with your social class.
Working on a weekend like usual. Way off in the deep end like usual.
If there's anything this season of Squid Game reminded me of, it would be that greed has nothing to do with your social status. No matter how much you have in your bank account, everyone has the tendency to be greedy. I kid you not when I say that this season almost left me pulling my hair out. And I am not even joking. In today's video, I will be talking about Squid Game, lessons taken out of this season, my highlights from this season, the deaths that pained me, and the concluding part of this season and what my thoughts are concerning it. If you're a returning subscriber, welcome back to the channel. I love that you keep on coming back here to see what I'm up to on this space. Like this video and subscribe to the channel, and don't forget to leave a comment in the comment section below. In case you're just hearing my voice in my face for the very first time, hey, welcome. I really do hope you stay. I am aderonkeolorunsuyi. I review movies, talk about web series and TV shows like this one. Please consider sticking around by subscribing to the channel, like this video, and leave a comment. I really do want to know your take on season 3 of Squid Game. Was it your cup of tea? What did you think about it? Was it an easy watch for you? Did you find yourself screaming? Was it a tad bit too much, or it was just perfect? Let me know in the comment section. So let's take it from the top. We'll talk about the deaths that happened in this season and the major ones that kind of made me emotional. First would have to be the death of Hyunjo, that player 120. We saw that out of player 149, player 222, and player 120. Player 120 was actually the first to find the exit door. And there's been a consistency in a character. If you look back to season 2, which is actually part 1, because I mean it's very interesting that they call this part season 3, despite the fact that it's a continuation of the first part of season 2. But yeah, that's by the way. So there's been a consistency. We've seen some players start off on the right foot in the game, and then later on, due to the pressure and the intensity of the game, they lose their self, they lose their sense of being, they lose their motivation, and they tend to allow the game control them. But we saw that with player 120, she was consistent all through, and we saw that she was the first out of the 3 women to find the exit door. But one particular thing, and one thing that made even her death very much emotional for me, was the fact that despite finding the exit door and having the 3 keys, they needed the triangle, the square, and the circle. Despite having the 3 keys, when they were giving those keys to her, I honestly thought she was going to betray them. When they were handing over all the keys, all their keys to her, I thought she was going to betray them. But yeah, interesting. When she found the door, you would expect that she would take the exit and just dip. But it was very interesting to see. And it wasn't also surprising though that she went back to the women and told them that she's found the exit door and they needed to get going. But it was so interesting as well to see that player 333 decided to unalive her, despite the fact that there was really no need for him to do that, because he and this guy that was going cuckoos, I can't remember the player's number. They both succeeded in unaliving 2 players, thereby granting them pass out of the game, right? So I don't understand how he mistakenly or accidentally unalived player 120, but it was such an harsh and emotional way of taking out player 120 from the game. The death of player 33 was quite emotional. We saw how he and his mom made a pact that, okay, I'm going to find you. They exchanged their vest and color, and he's like, you are better at hiding. I'll find you. I'll try my best. Even though it's going to be very difficult for me to unalive somebody, but that I have to do that to be a part of this game and make it out of this game alive. And eventually, he couldn't unalive his mom, and he was going towards player 222, and of course the mother wasn't going to allow him to do that, because this lady just had a baby. She's responsible for not just her life right now, but the life of a young person who didn't even ask to be brought into this mess in the first place. And she did what any emotional mother would do. Well, not all. She took the life of her own son, and I was shocked. That scene was so emotional. It was like are getting stuck between the devil and the deep blue sea. But it was very interesting to see how that whole thing panned out. We also saw the death of player 149. That's the mother of player 33. And it came out of nowhere, to be honest. But then again, it was so understandable. Like, this woman has had to go through series of dangerous games, and she's had to go through the heart-wrenching decision of taking her own son's life in order to sort of do the right thing. And you could just tell that she had lost the will to live and the will to keep fighting for life. Because for her to make the decision of actually hanging herself and taking her own life, I felt like she had actually lost every sense of, fighting for life and the struggle and the will to actually fight to remain alive. But it was such an emotional exit. Players that lost the will to fight for life. Player 222 taking her life was so emotional. Let's not even get started about how she had a baby in the middle of that hide and seek game. Like, I think that was actually one of the most dangerous games that they had to play, because this be up close and personal with each other. A weapon was actually, before they were the soldiers were the ones taking their lives, but this time around, so like, they placed their lives in each other's hands. Like, they gave them a weapon to kill one another. And judging by how these people have been behaving, you could tell that it was gonna be a bloodbath. So, seeing her get to that point, seeing her have a baby in that old mess, and them getting to the point where they had to do the old jumping rope thing to get to the other side of the game, to get to the other side of the platform, and her not willing to give it a try. I don't know why I felt like if she had tried, she would have actually made it out. I don't know. That's just me. You could tell that she had actually given up. She had lost that free will. She had lost that will to actually fight for life, to try and see if there's a second chance, to try and see if there's another opportunity for her to live. But her giving up at that point was understandable. They left her with the option of fighting for her life or fighting for her child's life. And we saw what she told player 333, that she just needed to be sure that her child was safe. And when she saw that her child made it to the other side of the platform, it was fulfilling for her enough, and she was satisfied taking her own life by falling to her death. Now, speaking of another player's death that was quite emotional for me, would have to be 456. Let's even talk about 456. What was he thinking going back into the game? I honestly thought that when I started season 2, when we saw the whole thing of him going back to the game, to ruin the game, to turn the game upside down and stop the craziness from happening, it was like a mission that had failed from the onset. Because how was he thinking he was going to get rid of people that were even above the law? But yeah, we saw that he actually felt his death in this series in order to save the life of player 222's baby. I actually saw a spoiler somewhere before I actually even saw that episode, in the fact that he had a daughter at home waiting for him and had grown this resentment towards him, and now saying that he actually gave up his life for another person's life. Even though it was so emotional and it was so disappointing, at the same time, it gave us another opportunity to believe in humanity, because we saw everything that played out in the game, how these people were pushed against each other and they took the opportunity, how they even got to a point where they were voting for a baby to be eliminated. I'm like, that's just crazy. That is just crazy. I I lost it when a baby got introduced into the series. Like, I lost it. I'm like, you're gonna have a baby in the midst of all this chaos? And I was really looking forward to seeing what was going to happen when she walked into the dormitory or the hall with a baby. Like, that cry of a baby, I thought it was going to make a difference in the game. I thought she was even going to be allowed to go. Do you understand? I was thinking a lot. But it was very, very interesting to see that they now made this baby a player, giving the mother a condition to choose a baby or choose herself. And I'm like, that's just bonkers. And with the introduction of the VIPs, that was one of the things I found interesting and I really appreciated in this season. In season 1 and 2, we really didn't get to see much of the VIPs up and close. But with this season, we even saw them participate in the game. We saw them wear, disguise as the soldiers, come into like the gameplay, come into the game stage and shooting other players that were alive. And oof, even seeing them bid on different players and them saying, oh, they should add the baby to the game. Let's make it more fun. Let's make it more spicy. I bet the baby wouldn't make it out. I bet the baby will make it out. And I'm like, it's so interesting how money can make you power drunk. It's so interesting. And seeing how these people who were the actual players of this game, the Squid Game, seeing how they behave towards one another, how they betrayed each other, how they took people's lives without thinking twice. It reminds you that greed has nothing to do with your social class. One is capable of being greedy regardless of how many money they have to their names. Because we saw that even with the money that player 456 had, it wasn't satisfied, or will I say it wasn't fulfilled. He wanted something else. He wanted to go and ruin the game, wanted to put an end to the game. If money was the answer of everything, he would have just looked away from those situation, take the money and go live a good life with his daughter. But that's just to tell you that money can buy happiness, but money cannot buy happiness or satisfaction at the end of the day. Let's talk about the deaths that were quite satisfying. I know that sounds wrong. But death of players that was quite satisfying to me. You see the death of player 100. I feel like that man got so much spotlight in this movie and it was so annoying. But seeing how he died, even though he made it to the finals, but like him dying, I'm just like, of course, you needed to go. Of course, long overdue, like right out of the door. Also, the death of player 333. You guys, I feel like that man gets the award of the deadbeat father of the year, because how do you mistakenly find yourself in a situation, in a life-threatening situation with your girlfriend who happened to have your baby, and then she gave birth to your baby in the middle of a chaotic game, and she had to give her life for this baby to be alive. And not only alive, someone else had to kill her son for your child to be alive. Someone else had to risk his game for your child to be alive. And you didn't think twice about throwing this baby off the cliff, like throwing the baby off the edge. That's to tell you how evil and how wicked the heart of man is. Like, I'm like, yo, this man kept getting worse. Just when we thought it was going to do better, just when we thought it was beginning to right his wrongs with how as each episode goes by. Episode 6 was just the cake. I was disgusted. I was so shocked. It was so unbelievable. But it was also interesting to see how he met his own end as well. And I'm also asking, why was this part named season 3 instead of part 2? Because it's actually a continuation of season 1, I mean season 2. So why was it named season 3? But yeah, that's by the way. Now, going to the concluding part of this movie, we saw that the detective was stripped off. He was stripped off his detective title because of all the things he did in order to, unravel the case with the Squid Game and the island. It was unethical, it wasn't approved, and it sort of went AWOL. That aside, we saw that all player 456 money was gone as at the time the other men went back to the place where he was staying. And we saw that player 456 child now has this resentment towards him. And also we saw that whilst a front man was driving out of the place where he went to deliver the box to player 456 child, this white woman playing the same game with some stranger. And I'm like, are they trying to tell us we're going to get Squid Game America? Is the game going global? That means these people are unstoppable. If this detective is still going to go after this guy, if he's going to give up, because now the baby 222 has been kept in his custody for him to bring up and train. I mean, the baby won the game, so the baby has been given the money and the prize money and all of those things. So I'm wondering if he's going to go after it. But I don't even think we're going to get to see him in the next Squid Game, because I think the next Squid Game is going to be like Squid Game America, and it's going to be like a brand new set of people, faces and whatnot. But what do you think about Squid Game going global? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section. But yeah, let me know what you thought about the season. What part was disappointing or emotional for you? Let's chat in the comment section. What do you think they could have done better? And if we get to see Squid Game America, I don't even know if this is a question, but like, would you say it? I think a bunch of people will say it. Like this video if you're yet to like it. Subscribe to the channel if you're yet to subscribe. And I'll also see you in my next video. Until then, make sure to remain happy because you owe it to yourself. Bye, guys.